The shuttle landed smoothly on Velthar Prime, and Hannah Park pressed her face against the window. The city below looked like something from a dream. Towers of crystal reached into the purple sky, and bridges made of light connected them. She had seen many alien worlds in her career, but this one still took her breath away. "Dr. Park, we're cleared to exit," Kai Lee said from the seat behind her. He was young, barely 23, and this was his first major assignment as her research assistant. His excitement was obvious in every movement. Hannah grabbed her bag and followed him out. The air outside smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. A tall figure waited for them at the landing platform. The Velthari were known for their height, and this one stood at least 8 feet tall. His skin was pale blue, and his eyes were large and golden. "Welcome, humans," the alien said. His voice came through a translator device on his chest. "I am Ambassador Thelvin. I will guide you to the Grand Museum." "Thank you for the invitation," Hannah said. She tried to sound professional, but her heart was racing. This was the biggest event in the galaxy. The Millennial Exhibition only happened once every 1,000 years. Getting invited was an honor that most humans never received. The museum was even more impressive than the city. It was a massive dome that seemed to be made of starlight itself. Inside, the air was cool and quiet. Thousands of beings from dozens of species walked through the halls, speaking in hushed voices. "The exhibition opens in 1 hour," Thelvin said. "You may explore the outer halls until then. The main presentation will begin precisely at midday." Hannah and Kai wandered through the museum. Each hall showed artifacts from different civilizations. Some were millions of years old. Others were more recent. Every piece had a small display with information written in multiple languages. "This is incredible," Kai whispered. He was taking pictures with his handheld device. "Some of these civilizations disappeared before Earth even had multicellular life." Hannah nodded, but she wasn't really listening. Something felt odd. She couldn't explain it, but her instincts as an archaeologist were tingling. She had learned to trust that feeling over the years. When the main hall opened, the crowd rushed inside. The room was enormous, with a ceiling that showed the stars above. In the center, protected by energy fields, were hundreds of artifacts arranged on platforms. Thelvin stood on a raised stage. His voice boomed through the hall. "Welcome to the crown jewel of our collection. Today, we reveal something extraordinary. Evidence of a great civilization that existed long before any of us." The lights dimmed. Holographic displays appeared above each artifact. The crowd gasped and whispered. 50,000 to 100,000 years ago, Thelvin continued, a mysterious civilization spread across the stars. They visited many worlds, including the planet you humans now call Earth. They were advanced beyond measure. Then, they vanished. We believe they may have been destroyed by some great catastrophe. Hannah moved closer to the displays. Her hands were shaking. Something was very wrong. "We call them the precursor civilization," Thelvin said. "They came before humanity evolved. Perhaps they even influenced human development. These artifacts were found on 17 different worlds, always buried deep underground." Hannah stopped walking. She was staring at one of the artifacts. It was a small metal object, badly damaged and covered in old dirt. But she recognized it. The shape, the way it was made, even the small symbols carved into its surface. "Kai," she whispered. "Come here." He hurried over. "What is it? Look at that." She pointed at the artifact. "What does that look like to you?" Kai studied it carefully. His eyes went wide. Is that Korean writing?" Hannah nodded slowly. The symbols were old and worn, but they were definitely Hangul. She moved to the next artifact. It was a piece of fabric, preserved somehow despite its age. The pattern was familiar. It looked like part of a traditional hanbok, the kind her grandmother used to wear. This can't be right, Kai said. These are supposed to be 100,000 years old. Look at this one, Hana said. She was standing in front of a tool. It was made of metal and plastic designed for farming or construction. She had seen tools exactly like it in museums on Earth. They were from the early days of space colonization. Her mind was racing. She looked at more artifacts, a child's toy, a cooking utensil, a piece of machinery with writing on it. Every single item looked human, not ancient human, modern human. Dr. Park, is something wrong? Ambassador Thelvin had noticed her strange behavior. He walked over with a concerned expression. Hana forced herself to smile. No, nothing wrong. These artifacts are just fascinating. May I ask where exactly they were found? Various locations, Thelvin said. The largest collection came from a dead world in the Outer Rim. We discovered a crashed vessel there, buried under 2 miles of ice. A vessel, Hana repeated. Her mouth felt dry. Yes. We believe it was some kind of transport ship. Unfortunately, it was too damaged to learn much from it, but the artifacts inside were preserved perfectly by the ice. Hana looked at Kai. His face had gone pale. She knew they were thinking the same thing. Ambassador, she said carefully, would it be possible for me to examine these artifacts more closely? For research purposes, of course. Thelvin seemed amused. You wish to study the precursor civilization? How charming. Yes, I suppose we can arrange private access. After all, it must be interesting for a primitive species to see what came before them. The word primitive stung, but Hana kept her expression neutral. Thank you. That would be very helpful. As they left the exhibition hall, Kai grabbed her arm. Doctor, what's going on? Hana pulled him into a quiet corner. Those aren't ancient artifacts, Kai. They're human, recent human, maybe a few 100 years old at most. But that's impossible. Why would the Velthari? I don't know yet, Hana said, but we're going to find out. The next morning, Hana and Kai returned to the museum. A Velthari assistant led them to a private research room deep inside the building. The walls were white and sterile, and the lighting was harsh. On a long table in the center sat 12 of the artifacts from the exhibition. You have 4 hours, the assistant said. Do not damage anything. We will be watching. She pointed to cameras in the corners of the room, then left. Hana immediately pulled out her scanning equipment. Her hands moved quickly, running tests on the first artifact. It was the metal object she had seen yesterday, the one with the Korean writing. Start documenting everything, she told Kai. Pictures, measurements, everything. While Kai worked, Hana focused on the writing. She enhanced the image on her scanner, cleaning away the digital dirt and corrosion. The symbols became clearer. Her breath caught in her throat. What is it? Kai asked. It's a manufacturer's mark, Hana said quietly. Park Industrial Stellar Corporation. Founded in 2680. Park? Kai's eyes went wide. Like your name? It's my family's company, Hana said. Her voice was shaking now. My great-great-grandfather started it. They made equipment for colony ships. Kai moved closer to look at the screen. But that would make this artifact only about 170 years old, not 100,000. Hana ran a carbon dating scan. The results appeared on her screen. She had to read them 3 times to believe what she was seeing. 152 years old, she said. Give or take 5 years. They looked at each other in silence. Then Hana moved to the next artifact, the tool. She found a serial number hidden on the handle. With trembling fingers, she searched the Galactic database. The result came back immediately. Manufacturing date, 2695. Registered owner, Eternal Horizon Colony Ship. The Eternal Horizon, Kai whispered. I know that name. Everyone knows it, Hana said. It was one of the greatest mysteries in human history. 50,000 colonists. Disappeared without a trace 150 years ago. Kai sat down heavily. You're saying these artifacts are from the Eternal Horizon? I'm saying it's possible. Hana was already scanning the next item, and the next. Every single artifact showed the same pattern. Modern human construction, dates between 2690 and 2700, and many of them had registry marks linking them to the Eternal Horizon. We need to contact Earth, Kai said. This is huge. Not yet. Hana was thinking hard. We need more evidence first. If we're wrong, we'll look like fools. If we're right... She didn't finish the sentence. If we're right, then the Velthari have been lying to the entire galaxy, Kai finished for her. There was a knock on the door. Both of them jumped. A woman entered. Human, older than Hana, with gray in her hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. Dr. Park, the woman said. My name is Yuna Choi. I'm also a researcher here. I heard you were examining the precursor artifacts, and I had to meet you. Hana was suspicious. What do you want? Yuna closed the door carefully. She checked the cameras, then pulled out a small device and pressed a button. That will give us 5 minutes before they notice the cameras are blocked. Listen carefully. I've been researching the Eternal Horizon disappearance for 30 years. When I heard you were coming to examine these artifacts, I knew you would figure it out. Figure what out? Hana asked, though she already knew. That these aren't ancient artifacts. They're from human colony ships. The Eternal Horizon was just one of many. Yuna pulled out a data pad. I've been tracking disappearances for decades. 15 colony ships, nearly 500,000 humans. All vanished in this sector of space over the past 3 centuries. Kai looked sick. Are you saying the Velthari destroyed them? I'm saying the Velthari intercepted them, Yuna said. What happened to the people, I don't know, but I've found evidence that suggests some may have survived. Evidence? Hana asked. Yuna showed them her data pad. It displayed a communication intercept, heavily encrypted. This was sent from an uncharted moon in this system 3 months ago. It took me weeks to decode it. It's in Korean, Old Korean. It says, Children of the stars, we remain. Remember the horizon. The room was silent except for the hum of the equipment. I couldn't trace where it came from exactly, Yuna continued. But it came from somewhere in this solar system, which means somewhere on Velthar Prime or one of its moons. There are humans, descendants of the Eternal Horizon colonists. Hana's mind was reeling. Why would the Velthari do this? What do they gain? Power, Yuna said. Think about it. The Velthari are one of the oldest spacefaring species in the galaxy. Their whole society is built on that status. They're the wise elders, the keepers of history. But what if humans were actually spacefaring long before them? You think humans are older than the Velthari? Kai asked. I think it's possible, Yuna said. These artifacts are recent, yes. But what if there were earlier waves of human expansion? What if humans have been going to the stars for thousands of years, maybe longer? Hana thought about the artifacts. The technology was human, but some of the designs were strange, older somehow. You're suggesting that modern humans are rediscovering space travel, not discovering it for the first time. Exactly, Yuna said. And the Velthari know it. That's why they intercept our colony ships. That's why they suppress any evidence of ancient human civilization. If the galaxy knew the truth, the Velthari would lose their status as the eldest species. The camera blocking device beeped. Time was running out. We need help, Hana said. This is bigger than the 3 of us. I have contacts, Yuna said. There's a Velthari scholar named Retven. He's old, probably dying soon. He's been trying to expose government corruption for years. He might help us. And we need to contact the Human Coalition, Kai added. Admiral Dae Kim is in this sector. If there are human survivors here, we need military support. Hana looked at the artifacts on the table. Somewhere out there, Her ancestors' ship lay in ruins. Somewhere on this world, people might still be waiting for rescue. "All right," she said. "We do this carefully. Yuna, contact your scholar friend. Kai, send an encrypted message to Admiral Kim. Tell him everything, and make sure he knows this could start a war." "What about you?" Yuna asked. Hana smiled, but there was no humor in it. "I'm going to keep examining these artifacts, and I'm going to prove that the Velthari are liars." Scholar Retven lived in the oldest part of the city, where the buildings were made of stone instead of crystal. Hana, Kai, and Yuna walked through narrow streets as the evening light faded. The Velthari here looked different from the ones at the museum. They were older, quieter, and they watched the humans with curious eyes. "He's agreed to meet us," Yuna said, "but we have to be careful. If the government finds out we're talking to him, they'll arrest all of us." They reached a small house at the end of a dead-end street. The door opened before they could knock. An ancient Velthari stood in the doorway. His skin was wrinkled and gray, and his golden eyes were cloudy with age. "Come in quickly," Retven said. His voice was rough, but his words were clear. "The walls have ears in this city." Inside, the house was filled with books and data pads. Papers covered every surface. Maps hung on the walls, showing star systems and trade routes. It looked like the workspace of someone who had spent his entire life searching for answers. "You want to know about the precursor artifacts," Retven said. It wasn't a question. "You've realized they're not what we claim they are." "They're human," Hana said, "from colony ships that disappeared. Why is your government lying about them?" Retven sat down slowly, his old bones creaking. "Because the truth would destroy everything the Velthari have built. Let me tell you a story that our leaders don't want anyone to know." He activated a holographic display. An image of Earth appeared, but it looked different. The continents were in slightly different positions. "This is Earth, 80,000 years ago," Retven said. "According to our oldest records, which are kept secret in government vaults, this is when the first human civilization reached the stars." Kai's mouth fell open. "That's impossible. Humans were barely using stone tools 80,000 years ago." "That's what the current historical record says," Retven agreed, "but it's wrong. Humanity has risen and fallen many times. 80,000 years ago, humans had technology that makes our current ships look primitive. They spread across thousands of worlds." The hologram changed, showing a map of the galaxy. Hundreds of points were marked in red. "These are confirmed ancient human sites," Retven said. "The Velthari government has found evidence on every single one. Ruins, technology, written records, all human, all ancient." "What happened to them?" Hana asked. "They didn't fall," Retven said. "That's what makes it so strange. According to the records, they chose to stop. They achieved something called post-scarcity. They had everything they needed. So many of them decided to return to simpler lives. They went back to their worlds and started over, living without technology." "Why would anyone do that?" Kai asked. "Why does a rich person go camping?" Retven replied. "Because sometimes having everything means nothing. The ancient humans were philosophers as much as they were scientists. They believed that struggle gave life meaning, so they created an experiment. They went back to the beginning to see what humanity would become without memory of what they had been." Yuna was studying the maps. "So modern humans are descendants of people who chose to forget their own history?" "Yes," Retven said. "And when modern humans started reaching for the stars again, my government panicked. If the galaxy learned that humans were the true ancient civilization, everything would change. The Velthari would no longer be the wise elders. We would just be middle children." "So they started intercepting our colony ships," Hana said. She felt sick. Retven nodded. "At first, they just redirected them. made it look like navigation failures, but some ships were taken directly. The people were studied and eventually placed in hidden enclaves. Hidden where? Kai demanded. The third moon of this planet, Retvan said. It's listed as a military research station. No one is allowed near it. But I have contacts who worked there. They told me about underground cities. Thousands of humans living in isolation, descendants of the original colonists. They're alive? Hana's heart was pounding. Some of them, yes. They're children. They're grandchildren. They've been kept there for generations. The government studies them, learns from them, and occasionally uses them for genetic research. Kai stood up, his fists clenched. That's slavery. That's imprisonment. We have to tell people. With what proof? Retvan asked. I'm an old scholar who most people think is crazy. You're humans who everyone assumes are too primitive to understand galactic politics. We need evidence that can't be denied. I can get evidence, said a new voice from the doorway. Everyone spun around. A young woman stood there, human with long black hair and fierce eyes. She wore strange clothes, a mix of modern fabric and old-fashioned design. My name is Nari Song, she said. I'm from the third moon. I escaped 3 weeks ago. Hana stared at her. You're from the eternal horizon? My grandmother was, Nari said. She told me stories about Earth, about the stars, about how we were stolen and kept like animals in a cage. I've been hiding in the city trying to figure out how to expose what's happening. She pulled out a data chip. This contains everything. Medical records showing human genetic experiments, communications between government officials discussing the cover-up, video footage of the enclaves, and star charts from our grandparents showing the original course of the eternal horizon. Yuna took the chip carefully. This is everything we need. But it's not enough, Nari said. The government can claim it's fake. They can make me disappear. We need something bigger, something public. Hana thought about the exhibition. Thousands of people from dozens of species, all gathered to see the artifacts. The closing ceremony was in 3 days. Every major government would have representatives there. I have an idea, she said, but it's risky. Tell us, Retvan said. The closing ceremony is broadcast across 47 star systems, Hana explained. What if we presented our findings there, in front of everyone? They couldn't hide it or deny it. They'd arrest you immediately, Yuna said. Maybe, Hana agreed. But by then, the truth would be out. And I've already sent a message to Admiral Kim. The Human Coalition fleet should arrive in 2 days. If the Velthari try to stop us, they'll have to answer to our military. Retvan smiled for the first time. You're either very brave or very foolish. Probably both, Kai muttered. I can get you access to the ceremony stage, Retvan said. I still have some influence with the museum board. They think I'm harmless. And I can help you prepare the presentation, Yuna added. We need to make it clear, simple, and impossible to dismiss. Nari looked at Hana with respect. You're really going to do this? Risk everything? Hana thought about the artifacts, about her ancestor who built equipment for the eternal horizon, about 50,000 people who disappeared and were forgotten, about thousands more living in cages on a moon, waiting for someone to remember them. Yes, she said, someone has to tell the truth. The day of the closing ceremony arrived with clear purple skies. Ships from every corner of the galaxy filled the orbit around Velthar Prime. Inside the Grand Museum, thousands of beings gathered in the main hall. Cameras from dozens of news networks pointed at the stage. Hana stood backstage, her hands shaking. She wore her best formal clothes, trying to look professional and calm. Beside her, Kai checked the presentation files for the 10th time. The data is ready, he said. All the evidence is loaded. Carbon dating results, serial numbers, genetic records from Nari, everything. Where is she? Hana asked, looking around. Here. Nari appeared from the shadows. She had changed her clothes to something more modern, but she still looked different from other humans. There was something ancient in her eyes, something that spoke of generations living in captivity. Yuna joined them, with Retven moving slowly behind her. The old scholar looked tired but determined. "The human coalition fleet just entered the system," Yuna whispered. "Admiral Kim sent a message. They're standing by." "Good," Hana said, "because once we start this, there's no going back." On stage, Ambassador Thelvin was giving his closing speech. He talked about the importance of preserving history and learning from the past. He spoke of the mysterious precursor civilization and how their legacy inspired all the younger species. "And now," Thelvin said, "we have a special presentation. Dr. Hana Park, a human researcher, has requested to share some findings about the artifacts. As a gesture of goodwill between our peoples, I have agreed." The audience clapped politely. Most of them looked bored. Humans were still seen as a primitive species, barely worth attention. Hana walked onto the stage. The lights were bright and hot. She could see thousands of faces looking at her, cameras broadcasting to billions of beings across the galaxy. Her mouth was dry, but she forced herself to smile. "Thank you, Ambassador," she said. Her voice echoed through the hall. "I've had the honor of examining the precursor artifacts. What I discovered is remarkable." She activated the holographic display. The first artifact appeared, rotating slowly in the air above the stage. "This object is labeled as being 100,000 years old," Hana said. "But when I tested it, something interesting appeared." The hologram changed, showing the manufacturer's mark, the symbol of Park Industrial Stellar Corporation. "This mark belongs to my family's company," Hana continued. "Founded in the year 2680. This artifact was manufactured in 2695, exactly 152 years ago." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Thelvin stepped forward, his face darkening. "Dr. Park, what is the meaning of this?" "I'm showing the truth," Hana said calmly. She brought up the next image, the serial number. "This artifact is registered to the colony ship Eternal Horizon, a human ship that disappeared 150 years ago with 50,000 people aboard." The murmurs grew louder. Reporters were speaking rapidly into their devices. Other species representatives were leaning forward, suddenly interested. "This is absurd," Thelvin said. "The artifacts were found in ancient ruins." "They were found in a crashed ship on your outer rim," Hana interrupted. "A ship you deliberately intercepted. Just like you've intercepted 14 other human colony ships over the past 3 centuries. The hall erupted in noise. Thelvin's face went from blue to deep purple. "You have no proof of these accusations." "Actually, I do." Hana nodded to Kai. New images appeared, medical records, communications between Velthari officials, star charts showing the locations where human ships had vanished. "These documents were kept secret by your government," Hana said. "They show a deliberate pattern of intercepting human vessels, taking the passengers, and suppressing evidence of human civilization." "Where did you get classified government files?" Thelvin demanded. "This is theft." "I provided them," Retven said, walking onto the stage. Gasps rippled through the Velthari section of the audience. "I am Scholar Retven, former member of the Historical Preservation Council. I have spent 50 years watching my government lie to the galaxy." "You're a traitor," Thelvin hissed. "I'm a truth-teller," Retven replied. "And the truth is that humans are not a young species. They are the oldest space-faring civilization in the galaxy. 80,000 years ago, they spread across the stars. They achieved wonders we can barely imagine. Then they chose to start over, to live without technology, to rediscover themselves." The hall was completely silent now. Every being was listening. "When modern humans started reaching for space again," Retven continued, "our government panicked. If the galaxy learned the truth, we would lose our status as the ancient ones. So we hid the evidence. We intercepted their ships. We imprisoned their people. This is all lies, Thelvin shouted. Where is your proof of ancient human civilization? Here, Nari said, stepping onto the stage. She looked at the crowd, at thousands of alien faces staring at her. My name is Nari Song. My grandmother was a passenger on the Eternal Horizon. I was born on your third moon, in a hidden facility where you keep human prisoners. Thousands of us, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of the colonists you stole. She pulled out a small device. This contains my genetic code. It will prove I'm descended from the Eternal Horizon colonists. It also contains video footage from the facility. You can see for yourselves how the Velthari government treats the people they claim don't exist. The hologram changed. Video played showing underground cities. Humans in plain clothes working in fields, living in simple houses. Armed Velthari guards watching them. Children playing behind fences. The crowd exploded. Representatives from other species were shouting questions. Reporters were broadcasting frantically. In the Velthari section, some were standing in shock while others were arguing angrily. Security! Thelvin roared. Arrest them all! Velthari guards rushed toward the stage, but before they could reach it, a new voice boomed through the hall. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Every screen in the museum changed. Admiral Dae Kim's face appeared, stern and commanding. Behind him, the bridge of a human coalition warship was visible. This is Admiral Kim of the Human Coalition Fleet, he said. We have 47 ships in orbit around Velthar Prime. If any harm comes to Dr. Park or her companions, we will consider it an act of war. Thelvin froze. The guards stopped moving. This is a violation of galactic law, Thelvin said, but his voice was weaker now. So is kidnapping 500,000 humans and keeping them in secret prisons, Admiral Kim replied. We're here to take our people home, all of them, and we're going to have a very long conversation about reparations. A new voice spoke up from the audience. It was the ambassador from the Kextar Union, one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. I must confess, the Kextar said slowly, we have similar artifacts in our museums, labeled as ancient and mysterious. After hearing this, I believe we should examine them more carefully. Other ambassadors nodded. More voices joined in. The evidence was too strong to ignore. Hana looked at Thelvin. The ambassador's face showed complete defeat. His government's lie had been exposed in front of the entire galaxy. The artifacts belong to humanity, Hana said quietly. Along with our history, our people, and our dignity, we're taking them all back. 3 months had passed since the day everything changed. Hana stood on the third moon of Velthar Prime, watching as the last transport ships prepared to leave. Around her, thousands of humans were saying goodbye to the only home many of them had ever known. It's strange, Nari said beside her. I spent my whole life dreaming of escape. Now that we're leaving, part of me feels sad. That's normal, Hana said. This place might have been a prison, but it was still your home. The underground cities were being dismantled. The Velthari government, now led by reformists with Retven as an advisor, had agreed to return everything. The humans could choose to return to Earth, join existing human colonies, or even stay on Velthar Prime as free citizens. Most were choosing to leave. Kai walked over, carrying a data pad. The last count is complete. 14,732 people. 4 generations of colonists from 7 different ships. Not as many as we hoped, Hana said quietly. No, Kai agreed, but more than we feared. And we found records of 3 more hidden sites on other worlds. Admiral Kim is already organizing rescue missions. A shuttle landed nearby. Admiral Kim himself stepped out, his uniform crisp despite the long weeks of negotiations. He had aged in the past months, but there was satisfaction in his eyes. Dr. Park, he said, saluting. The Galactic Council has made their decision. And? Hana asked. Humanity has been officially recognized as an elder civilization. We've been granted full historical rights and control over all worlds, showing evidence of ancient human habitation. That's 23 star systems, including this one. Hana felt her knees go weak. 23 star systems. Entire worlds that had once been human now returned to humanity's care. The Velthari are being required to pay reparations, Admiral Kim continued. Technology transfers, resource rights, and funding for archaeological expeditions to recover our history. They're also being sanctioned by the Council for the kidnappings. What about Ambassador Thelvin? Kai asked. Arrested, Admiral Kim said with grim satisfaction, along with 47 other officials. The new Velthari government is cooperating fully. Scholar Retven has been appointed to lead a truth commission to investigate all historical cover-ups. Nari smiled. Good. Retven will make sure they tell the truth from now on. There's more, Admiral Kim said, looking at Hana. The Galactic Council wants to establish a new institution, the Galactic Archaeological Institute. They're offering you the position of director. Hana blinked. Me? You exposed the biggest historical cover-up in galactic history, Admiral Kim said. You proved that an entire species had been lied about for millennia. Who better to make sure it doesn't happen again? I need to think about it, Hana said. Take your time, Admiral Kim said, but not too much time. We have a whole galaxy to explore. And a lot of lost history to recover. He saluted again and returned to his shuttle. As it lifted off, Hana turned to look at the settlement behind her. Former prisoners were boarding transports, carrying whatever belongings they wanted to keep. Children who had never seen Earth were about to discover a world they only knew from stories. What will you do? Hana asked Nari. I've been asked to serve as an ambassador, Nari said, between the old enclaves and modern human civilization. Someone needs to help bridge the gap. We've been separated for too long. That's perfect for you, Hana said. And Kai is going to lead expeditions to find more lost colonies, Nari added, smiling at him. Apparently there might be dozens of them scattered across the galaxy. Kai blushed. Someone has to. And I've gotten pretty good at finding hidden humans. Yuna joined them, looking tired but happy. I just received confirmation. The University of Earth wants to publish our complete findings, all of it. The stolen ships, the ancient human civilization, everything. It'll be the most comprehensive historical document ever written. You deserve it, Hana said. You spent 30 years searching for the truth. We all did, Yuna said, even when people thought we were crazy. A message came through on Hana's communicator. It was from Retven. Dr. Park, the old scholar's voice said, I wanted you to know that we found something in the government archives. Star maps from the original human expansion, 80,000 years ago. They show Earth sending out hundreds of ships, not just colony ships, seed ships. Ships meant to spread humanity across the entire galaxy and then let them develop naturally. Hana closed her eyes. Hundreds of ships, millions of descendants. How many human civilizations were out there waiting to be found? The maps also show something else, Retven continued. The ancient humans left messages, time capsules hidden on key worlds. They contain knowledge, history, and instructions for their descendants. One of those capsules is on Earth, in a place they marked as important. The coordinates translate to somewhere in old Korea. Hana opened her eyes. Korea, her homeland, where her family had lived for generations. I think I know what I need to do, she said to the others. What's that? Kai asked. I'm going home, Hana said, to Earth, to find that time capsule, and then I'm going to accept the Council's offer. Someone needs to make sure humanity's real history is preserved this time. What about the artifacts? Nari asked. The ones from the exhibition? Hana smiled. They're being returned to their families, or in cases where we can't find the families, they'll be displayed in a new museum. A museum of remembrance for all the people who disappeared. She looked at the artifact scanner still hanging from her belt. She thought about her great-great-grandfather, Park Jin-woo, who had built equipment for the Eternal Horizon, who had watched his work leave Earth on a ship that never arrived at its destination. "You know what the funny part is?" Hana said. "When I first saw those artifacts, when I first recognized them, I knew they were human. But I didn't expect them to be from my own family. That artifact with my company's mark? My ancestor made it with his own hands. I didn't just discover stolen human property, I literally inherited it." The others laughed. After all the tension and fear of the past months, it felt good to laugh. "So those aliens were showing off your family's stuff and calling it ancient?" Kai said, grinning. "That must have felt weird." "You have no idea," Hana said. The last transport was ready. They walked toward it together, leaving the underground cities behind. Above them, in orbit, human coalition ships waited. Beyond them, the vast galaxy stretched out, full of mysteries and lost siblings waiting to be found. As the transport lifted off, Hana looked down at Velthar Prime, the planet where humanity's truth had almost been buried forever, the planet where it had finally been revealed. In her pocket, she carried a small piece of metal, the artifact with her family's mark. Ambassador Thelvin had personally returned it to her before his arrest. It wasn't ancient or mysterious. It was just a tool, made by a man who had dreamed of helping humanity reach the stars. But it meant everything. "We came from the stars," Hana whispered, remembering the words Retven had told her, words from the ancient human explorers. "And to the stars we shall return, not as conquerors, but as gardeners of civilization." The transport broke through the atmosphere, and the stars appeared. Billions of them, shining in the darkness. Somewhere out there, more humans were waiting. More stories were waiting to be told. More truths were waiting to be discovered. And Hana Park, the woman who had exposed the galaxy's greatest lie, was ready to find them all. The journey was just beginning.